How to stand out as a coach, because really, you really need to. And you need to understand why it's important as to how to stand out as a coach. Simply because the coaching industry is highly saturated. That means that you are 10 times more likely to be hitting or knocking against your competition in a way that, do you know what, maybe you might be actually doing something similar to them, right? So this is how you make sure that you stand out as a coach in order to be able to put your best foot forward so that you can actually start attracting the audience that you actually want to be working with. And more specifically, when you tap into these key things that I'm about to share with you, you're going to be able to understand that yes, not only can you stand out as a coach, but equally you're going to be able to stand out as a coach in a way that's congruent to your beliefs, your standards, what it is that you strive and want for your outcome to be. But more specifically, you're going to do it in a way that makes you feel like you. Because as a coach, I'm sure you'll agree that, you know what? Yeah, it's okay to be me, because essentially you're helping others to understand that it's okay to be them. So lead by example, because you are that example. So folks, my name is Tanya Grant and I'm the founder of the TNG Designs Group Limited. And I want to make sure that, you know what, with all my years of experience, I want to make sure that all of what I'm sharing with you actually resonates with you even more particularly. So make sure you stick around to the very end of this video, because as always, I've got a super cool gift to be able to share with you. And more importantly, folks, please make sure that you go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel, because I share videos like this and I share, more importantly, key ways to make sure that you specifically are standing out above your competition, but equally more so are standing out in a way, as I shared before, in a way that's congruent to you, your beliefs, and what it is that you stand for. So folks, make sure you go ahead and hit that little reminder bell so that you get alerted every time I go ahead and upload a new video. And without further ado, let's get stuck into it. Okay, so as I said to you, we're going to be talking about how to stand out as a coach. Now, again, I shared with you the fact that yes, the coaching industry is super saturated. That means that your competition, that your person that you are going up against, right, is literally next to you, or they could be across the road from you, or they could be a few doors down from you. Either way, they are super close to you, and that means that your audience could be getting lost within their path. But we want to make sure that your audience comes to you directly, right? We want to make sure that with these key strategies, with these key things that I'm about to share with you, not only do they come directly to you, but they equally start seeking you out over your competition. So when you are actually standing out as that coach, that go-to expert, people can start seeing that off the bat because of what you're sharing, because of what you're putting out there on socials, because of what it is that you are actually putting out there in general with your marketing. So the first thing, well, there's really three things that I want to make sure that you are knowing at all times and always have within your back pocket, so that you can always reach out and grab it and use it to the best of your ability and equally to your advantage more specifically. Okay, so as much as I said that there are really two things within each of these sections, and the first two things that I want to make sure that you are tapping into are your audience and your values. So know your audience and your values, specifically because when you don't know them, well then who are you actually speaking to? How do you know what it is that you're actually putting out there? How do you know that what it is that you're sharing with an audience is actually resonating or really hitting home with them? Because as a coach, I'm sure you'll agree that it's your job to make sure that you move them from one state to the next. So how are they going to understand how you can help them to do that if you don't even know who specifically you are talking to? Or if you don't even know what is that value that you want to make sure that you are sharing with them, so that they equally understand how to respond to you, or they equally understand how to resonate with you. Knowing your values, knowing who your audience is, are super key in order to be able to make sure that you are standing out from your competition as a coach. So number two thing that you actually need to be thinking of is always knowing your outcome and your reason. Okay, so when you know your outcome and your reason, then you understand that, you know what, okay, off the back of my audience and my values, this is what I want to make sure happens next for my audience and based off my values. When I understand the outcome, when I understand the reason, when I'm talking about outcome and reason, by the way, folks, I'm talking about the ideas, what it is that you want for your audience to be able to do when they come across your platform. And more specifically, what it is that you want your audience to have off the back of working with you. So the outcome resonates with that, and equally the reasoning behind it is understanding that, you know what, this is what said experience was, and I don't want that for my audience, right? So what is it for yourself? For me, for example, my audience, business entrepreneurs or business owners, entrepreneurs, those who are wanting to make sure they are elevated within their brand, but more specifically are doing it in a way that are congruent to who they are as a person, more specifically. And then everything else follows from that within business, within their own personal journeys and so forth. But then more specifically, I want the outcome to be for them to understand that they are more than what they see. Because I didn't always believe that in myself. And I want to make sure now that anybody who I go ahead and help understands that for themselves, understands that they have a way forward, and equally understands that representation really, really does matter. It is so super key and important in order for you to be able to be seen as the norm. And I want to make sure that that message really resonates with all those who not only need to hear it, but equally need to understand and believe it themselves. So what is your outcome and what is your reason why? Really tap into that, folks. I want to make sure that, again, you are going below that surface level, because hitting the surface level will only get you so far. But when you start tapping into something that's a little bit more deeper, people can understand and really connect with that deepness, simply because they now get the journey. They now understand that journey, because it's a journey that they're either going on themselves or have been on and don't necessarily know what the next step is or what that way forward is. Remember, you are the way forward. So as a coach, your audience equally needs to understand that as well. And you do that by not only understanding who they are, what the values are, should be as well, but also by way of the outcome. What do you want for them? And equally the real reason behind that. Really, really dig deep into that. And now this third section that you need to be thinking about, or this third point. And this is something I've been tapping on throughout the whole of me speaking to you right now, but more specifically, it's something that a lot of people tend to overlook, especially as a business owner or a personal brand identity. When it comes to even this point, and it is relevant for both brand types as well, when it comes to this particular part, not many people think about what it is going to be, because they haven't tapped into the outcome, or because they haven't tapped into the reason why what they're doing. When you know the outcome, when you know the reason, well, then you get to understand this next part, which is the journey and the next step. Simply because your audience have come to you. They're understanding this really cool value that you're throwing at them or really delivering to them, and they're really resonating with them. But then what? What's next? 9 times out of 10, the average coach won't even think about the what next part. They're just going to be making sure that, you know what, yeah, cool, this is how I can help you, and we're just going to leave it at that. Essentially, they're leaving them hanging. So I wonder if you've ever been caught up in that little spin right there. If you have, not to worry, that's why you're watching this video, you're watching it for a purpose. So now, think about what is the journey? What is the next step? How do you help them to move forwards? Because it's not just about here and now. No, there's more to it. So now help them to think and understand, how do they keep going? It's not about just today, it's about tomorrow and the next day and the year and then so forth. How do you help them to start thinking about that as well? Because when you come from I like to call it a holistic point of view. So you're thinking about from the start to the middle to the end, or the continued journey, right? Having that holistic point of view, having that level of understanding that helps them equally to understand that there is more to it, but this is what's going to help them to keep the process going. Because 9 times out of 10, folks, people don't know how to keep it going. They will invest in a coach, they will invest in somebody's expertise, and then be stuck with understanding, right, is this it? What next? How do I? What is the? These questions start triggering certain key points within their minds, so help them to understand or even finish those sentences. Really, really think about. So when you're trying to understand how to stand out as a coach, make sure that you are tapping into those 3 key points right there. Make sure that you are understanding how to tap into the audience as well as your values. Make sure that you are understanding how to work out what the outcome and the reasoning is. But equally, make sure that you are also understanding how to make sure that your audience completes their journey or continues their journey, even more importantly, because essentially we're never really complete, right? Because essentially there isn't quite an end, it's only the continuation. But it helps them to be able to understand how can they continue on a smoother ride. So folks, really tap into those points. And I really hope that this video helped you and resonated with you. Please make sure you go ahead and share it with somebody else who could really do with this information as well. More specifically, I want to make sure that you are tapping into this key resource that will help you to keep elevating and standing out as a coach. Now, my guide will help you to literally understand what key principles, 6 in particular, to be able to help you to understand that as a coach, you can use all these particular elements to be able to stand out as you should be standing out, but more specifically in a way that doesn't allow you to lose yourself within the process. Because folks, it is super important that you stay as you, but more specifically, you stay as you in a way that's congruent to your beliefs, your standards, your values, and what it is that you literally stand for. So folks, I'm going to leave it there. I really hope that this video helped you and resonated with you more importantly, and I will see you on the other side.